Okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I think it's mildly a miracle that I'm recording. I both really want to show you what's going on around me right now, but also not out of embarrassment. But I'm going to. But like it's not for an audio medium. It's a disaster.
All right.
Much
I
like
will
my hair. Oh
describe
no.
what I see currently.
So
Currently, Joey is sitting in a chair, and he's got a fan on above him. I can tell because of the reflection off the light off of the Team Liquid poster. He's backed up against a wall. Looks a little cramped right now.
a little cramped. This is I'm gonna pick the camera up. This is my
Okay.
bedroom from when I was a child. Okay, first off,
Okay.
notice the bald spot. Notice my
Yeah.
thinning hair. Okay, that's
Mhm,
right there.
mhm. You
This
see it?
this
You
angle
see it?
this angle not good for my self confidence. Okay, so let
Observe
me
it.
just
It's-
okay. There's
Everyone point and laugh. If
Here-
you
here's-
can,
here's
imagine a
you.
gigantic bald spot.
here's you. That's you.
That's me.
You know, here's a
Gorgeous.
keyboard.
Everyone,
This is
everyone
this
applaud
is,
now.
That's my crotch.
Insert crowd. That is
Okay.
definitely Joey's crotch.
So
You
this-
definitely want to watch the YouTube for that one.
Here's a poster. Here's a calendar of Emmy
Okay.
Rossum that I got when she released her record. She's the lead actress in Shameless. It's from 2014, which means the calendar's not accurate anymore. There's a SKT1 banner from Korea, an old Banjo Kazooie
Wow.
sign. Here's a picture of me and my cousins that's on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I look
Yeah.
much younger there. Note all the hair on
Very
my head.
cool. Mhm.
There's a Smirnoff sign. That's a neon bar sign that has googly eyes on it.
Why? How do you have? Why do you have so many posters? And how do you have that Smirnoff sign?
I took it out of a dumpster. Here's a bunch of old TV posters for like a 2010 slate of Showtime shows.
Yeah.
2 Tarantino movie posters, a Dota poster with some assorted hero art. Above the window is like social link buttons that I thought was a good idea at one point in time. So like there's, RSS feed, delicious, stumble upon old Google Twitter logos. There's a digestive.
If I go and stand up on that chest and hit those buttons, will they do anything, Joey?
Yeah, you will. Yeah, they will share the podcast. There's a poster of the digestive system.
That's a good one.
Because I don't know. And then
I
just
see a box for diapers.
that has my baby stuff in it that my mom won't throw
Oh.
away because she thinks I'm gonna have kids and wants to give it to them. Nothing is there's my bed. There's my bed.
It's a bed.
I cleaned all the sheets, and then just everything. This is like a small bit of the mess. This is truly a small bit of the mess. My computer isn't even hooked up properly. I just plugged in a microphone and a mouse so that we can record. And basically, I moved my entire apartment and studio and everything I own back into my parents' house. And I can hear them right now talking outside the door. So I don't have a podcasting setup really. I'm trying to set up an office. I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff, but it has been a clusterfuck of a week. So that's fun. I'm happy to be here with you because I feel like it's a break from the physical labor I've been doing. I'm pretty sure that I injured my LCL, which is the exterior knee/leg tendon.
Yeah, that one's a little finicky. Yeah.
That one's a little finicky.
Had that one. Yeah.
So I'm worried about that. There might be an MRI in my future. I feel like it's okay right now, but I don't know if it's like something that I'm gonna do a squat rack in a couple weeks and then just blow it out. So I gotta be careful of that. Dude, it's how have you been?
Okay, so this has been an ongoing episode in this podcast that we would talk about the fact that you need to find a roommate soon. Otherwise, you will be moving back to your parents' place. And I take it you did not find that roommate.
No. So A little bit of a catch up on that. Basically, in addition to not finding someone to take the roommate position in my other apartment, I actually think that the financially savvy play is to simply do what I'm doing anyways, because I am actively trying to save up money for like a down payment on an apartment or a condo, which me being here just expedites that process. So I feel like it is the financially savvy decision. Also, there is a strong possibility that I am going to be working out of the European Team Liquid office over the summer.
Oh.
And if that happens, it would be really silly for me to have an apartment that I'm renting, because that would just be pissing away money. Pissing it away.
Yeah.
So
why are you going to be working out of the European offices?
Well, okay, so hear me out. So TI's around the corner, right?
Yeah.
And the Dota team is over in the Netherlands.
True, they are.
So what the goal would be is that I would go over to the European office, work with the Dota team to make some specific content around TI, and then also just generally work with the my compatriots over in Europe, the One Up Team Liquid European video staff, to kind of, learn a little bit how they work, see if I can help them, just generally give them support, and, do maybe like some consulting. So, and also just to meet everyone in the Europe office, right? Like,
right, of course.
I feel like
those are all very good things to do as an employee.
Yeah, very, very good things to do. So,
No, this definitely sounds like a thoroughly well thought out and reasonable reason to work in the European offices over the summer, and probably has nothing to do with TI, right? Nothing to do with TI, right?
I think that I have to mildly pivot what my full suite of goals there are going to be. I've had a bad week for a couple reasons, dude.
Yeah. It's been a rough one. I watched your liquid TLDR. It made me laugh.
See, that was the goal. Did it make you uncomfortable?
I wanted to hear a scream at the end.
Yeah. I was in an effort to say the most pretentious thing I possibly can, I was channeling my inner emotions into art. I drew the smile on my face so I could look happy.
That was your Joker moment?
That was my
when
Joker
Liquid
moment.
Failed to qualify for TI. That was Joey's Joker moment.
I should probably explain some things. For those of you who don't know, I do a weekly show on the Team Liquid social channels called TLDW, which is just like a weekly recap of how all the different teams and all the different games and regions performed, and like what matches that are upcoming to watch. And slowly over the course of, I've been doing it for 3 months straight, it's getting more and more absurd, probably because I'm running out of ideas quickly and I'm just doing everything myself. So after the Dota team lost, I did an episode where normally it looks kind of like the Soup or a news broadcast, but this was more me having a mental breakdown with bad makeup and a really claustrophobic shot on the ground. So that was fun. I got good feedback on it. It was fun to make. And I learned a lot about mascara and how to make it runny. So that was a plus. I'm conflicted because I had the idea for that video and what I was going to do if the Dota team lost before the event even started. So there was one side of me that's like, oh, well, okay, I have an idea of what kind of video content I can do if they lose. And the other side of me is like, oh, I don't want that at all. I hope that I never get to see this idea to fruition. But instead, what I got to do was convert on the idea I had, which ultimately the worst option. It was the worst option. Because I I'm not going to the international with the Liquid Dota team, and if I do, it's going to be in some other type of capacity. TBD. And that
we should make a Liquid show at TI. I'm probably only going to be casting.
I'm just saying there is some stuff that I can't talk about, and there is a world where we do a really dank show at the international. There's a world where it happens. Also, hear me out. You're going to be a little busy. I'm not going to be busy. Yeah. I know people now who are also not going to be busy during the international.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
I'll be like, yo, Aiden, what's up? What's up, Insania?
Yeah.
Or as casters who are harder for me to listen to call him Insomnia.
What? Who calls him Insomnia?
I think
Insomnia?
I think Seek and Strike does, and I think AUI does.
But why?
I don't know.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's a reality for the international. I do not know my current travel plans to Romania. I was actually freaking out because the dates for the international, when they were pushed back, because that's also something that happened. We should really stick on to one story for more than 10 seconds. The date move of the international actually near directly conflicts with my sister's wedding.
No.
So if I do go and I stay through the grand finals, I would need to get on a plane from Bucharest to Hawaii. And if you want to guess about how long that is, the answer is 22 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say that has to be close to 24 hours because those are very much on opposite sides of the planet.
Literally that.
Yeah, and they're also probably... So you have to go... What would the flight... Where would you be going through? You go to Amsterdam, and there's no directs to all the way to Hawaii, right?
No, I bet that it would be at least 3 planes. It would be to somewhere in Western Europe, and then to probably like New York or Miami maybe, and then potentially to like Los Angeles or Phoenix or something like that, and then to Hawaii if I can't go like direct transcontinental to Hawaii. So there's like so that's
it might be faster for you to go the other direction.
It might be. It's literally like opposite sides of the planet. So I have to figure that out. That's another fun wrinkle. When I saw the TI dates announced, I'm like, oof. At least it's not the day of the wedding, but it's like really close. So basically, the international in the span of about 8 days went from something that I was like, woo, to something that I'm like, oh man. I'm really not sure what stage of grief I'm in. I think that I've been too busy to fully process it, and I feel like it's also poor form to co-opt grief, because the people who are really objectively sad are like the people who are actually on the team, not the people who like makes funny videos of the team, right?
Yeah, you could still be sad. Just because they have more reason to be sad doesn't mean you can't be sad.
Yeah. They should be the most
It's like that thing, like it could always be worse. Well, yeah, of course it could always be worse, but what I'm going through right now is still bad, Yeah. There's always going to be someone having a shittier day than you, but,
That's true.
Okay, so finishing up with moving. When did you move? Because when we talked about the podcast, you said something about moving. Because we forgot to do the podcast, basically. And you said, well, I'm moving anyway. So, but you haven't actually finished setting up now. And you know what happened is you said, oh, like I got moving and stuff anyway. I was like, oh, well, Joey could have hit me up. We're good enough friends. I'd be willing to help him move. I thought you had already moved.
No. So Monday last week was the 5th of July, which in America, oftentimes when the 4th of July, which is one of our few federal holidays, is on a weekend, it's observed before or after. So no one was really working on the 5th. So I had that day to start a move. And basically I got almost everything out of my house except for like my work setup and like my bedroom and a lot of other things, right? So I probably did 50% of the move on that Monday, because I had people available, like my dad with a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end of the night comes around, and I'm like, "Oh, we are not doing a podcast." I will happily take fault for this one. So sorry, everybody. And then it was before the last two qualifiers. It was before China and Europe, and I'm like, what are we gonna talk about? Like, I mean, I can shoot the shit with Cap all day long, but like, if we were to do a show last week, I would just complain about moving, and then I would be like, oh man, those Western qualifiers, liquid, oh boy, undying. NA representatives, glad that they're at TI, really love the DPC system. And now there's more qualifiers to talk about. But basically, I've been moving since that last Monday for like a week now, and everything is currently at my parents' house. It is in the front driveway. It is in the living room. It is strewn across multiple bedrooms. The thing with my parents' house is that it's already filled with way too much stuff. So me bringing my stuff in is just problematic, because their stuff has to move to make room for my stuff, and it could be a better situation.
So what is the timeline that you're looking at? Not the working in the European office in summer, but you said trying to save up for an apartment. Do you have a deadline? Because that is the thing. It's financially great for your wallet, for your mental health, not so great for most people moving back in with their parents. I personally did that when I came back from Germany. I lived with my mom for about a year and a half. Like that, there was definitely, I much prefer living by myself. Or with Ellie, rather.
I think that I'm giving myself maximum of 1 year. Ideally, what I'd be doing is I'd be looking, I mean, there are a couple outside factors, right? Like, if the economy goes super upside down for whatever reason, and like the stock market crashes, then
I've been waiting for that for years now, Joey. Good luck.
Yeah, well, that's potentially problematic, because I'm not super liquid right now. Like my capital for a mortgage is mostly tied up in the market. Right, so I have to get out of that, and in a world where that goes belly up like overnight, then my situation changes drastically. So we're under the assumption that things are going to kind of continue some kind of normalcy right now, and then ideally I would start looking around December to February and give myself enough time to not have to hard commit to anything quickly. I think that I'm in a situation where I'm pretty happy where I am, and I'm not going to mind spending a certain amount of time here. There's things that suck, and I'm sure that I will continue to complain about them in the near to medium future. Like, I'm allergic to dogs.
Oh.
But like mildly. But I always grew up with dogs. Like, there were always dogs in the house, right? And I always had like an annoyance and a problem with allergies. And while I am allergic to pollens and grasses and molds and like all that shit, right? As soon as I moved out and didn't live with dogs every day, like my situation was just better, right? So
yeah,
it's like I'm more congested being here. There's less space here. There's inherently less freedom. But like, living with my parents isn't bad. Like, we have a very good relationship. I'm not too worried about getting out rapidly, but ideally we're looking at like 6 to 12 months would be my goal.
Okay. We will revisit this in like 6 months, because I have a great relationship with my mom, but it still was not ideal. It still was not great for my mental health to be living with her at times. So
I think that there's going to be like a honeymoon period. I think the first 2 months are going to be great, and then the next 2 months are going to be like, ugh. I'm worried that I'm going to find it harder to work. I'm worried that my commute when I do have to go to work is like literally 9x what it was before. It's going from like 5 minutes to 45-ish without traffic, right?
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm worried about, just the logistics of respecting them, right? Like, my mom's a light sleeper. My bedroom where I am right now is upstairs. Her room is, multiple doors that way. Like, so I have to make an effort to just generally be mindful of that.
Yeah, we got to do the podcast earlier.
Probably. Probably shouldn't be doing them like after 10 ish.
Yeah.
Which it's almost always my fault when they're late. So I'm trying to just get settled in first, clean everything, move everything around, get it so that some stuff isn't messy. We're building a shed in the backyard, which is going to serve as like a storage unit for like my boxes, because a lot of stuff's in boxes. I'm not just going to need it while I'm here, because my parents' house is fully stocked. So it's there's a process and like a bunch of stuff that I actively want to do. A lot of it is like cleaning. There's a lot of working out and food accountability that like I'm looking forward to doing. It'll be interesting. I'm at the very least I will have hashtag content to share on this journey.
That's good. That's good. Because we still haven't gone through your. Did you lose your post-its with the stories that you had previously?
I know where those
backlogged.
I know where those are, but they're not by me right now. I have to unpack
just go through
everything.
the qualifiers as a whole.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, have you just been like an acting therapist for the last like 72 hours? Because like I'm crying on people's shoulders. I'm sure that you've been talking to Will, and Will's been like having not the best time ever. Like
I think I just spent probably about 6 hours or so with just hanging out in a call with William for quite some time. Yeah, we started talking about at 6 p.m. we started a call, and it's now 11 p.m. So we've been hanging out for about 5 hours. Obviously, he's real upset. There's a lot of layers to this that the public just doesn't know. But one of the top layers is that the Liquid guys, all 5 of them, are just amazing. They're all like genuinely good people who care about each other and look out for each other and have done things for each other that may never go public. And that they're all amazing. And just circumstances just went against them in so many ways. The most obvious one being that Boxy was not able to play with them for a period of time, and they adjusted to, Koifa selflessly played off lane for a period of time, and then he jumped back into mid when Boxy came back into the team. Like that, that's just one circumstance that people know about. And there's a lot of things surrounding that are all very personal and very like heartwarming. Again, all the Liquid guys are just great guys. So it just really sucks for William to be that close with them and to watch them go through all the grief that is not going to TI, because this TI has essentially been a 2-year TI, right? We have been waiting for this for 2 years, and now, even worse, it's not going to happen right away like it was going to, right? When this qualifiers originally like supposed to be going on, it was like, okay, well, the TI is going to happen like a month afterwards, and we'd do TI and we'd start the next season with three DPC seasons and stuff. And it would be, like if they didn't make it, well, at least TI would come and go, and then they'd be able to start new and start a fresh season. But now there's this awkward period of time where they just have to, like, every player that doesn't qualify for TI hates this period, this window. They just want TI to be fucking over with.
It's so long.
Every single player, even like the teams and players that lose early on at TI, they fucking hate TI. They hate the rest of TI. because they just want the event to be over. They don't want to watch. They don't watching it. Obviously, they will do, but they're gonna watch it in the context of like, I want to be there. I want to be in those teams' position of winning and playing more and being on stage more. So everybody hates this period of time where TI is coming or is happening and you're not a part of it. And that period just got extended for so many players. So
yeah, it's gonna be like a 3-month break before TI even happens.
Yep.
And then there's gonna
who
be
knows what happens to the next season, because ending in October, I highly doubt. The thing is that the whole system is very much in favor of the best teams and the most, like, the powerful players in the scene are the ones who win, right? So all the teams who are going to TI and the teams who will do well at TI, they're going to be the ones who are saying, we don't want to start the next season right away. We want a break. We're tired. Like, so I highly doubt Valve's going to be like, all right, we're going to try and fit in a season in the November, December period. I'm sure they're going to wait, and we're going to do it starting sometime mid-January. So that pretty much just means that there's half a year that's just kind of nothing's really going on.
That's 6 months of your career, which is already fledgling when you're an esports athlete, because generally most of them are not playing into their 30s. So
yeah,
that's half a year of time from your profession just taken away from these people. Fuck, man. Yeah, it's
yeah.
It kills me because I mean, obviously I have all the bias in the world, but the fact that I know how uniquely nice these people are, and like there's I think there's like, if they would win something, there's almost no better power of friendship story. It's like they did it, but they didn't do it, and that's getting to accept that right now, and then figuring out like what that means for long term. Like, is there like a run it back situation? Is there like a fuck guys, how long are we gonna keep doing this for situation? Is there like a
yeah it's for sure. I mean, they're one of the longest running rosters in Dota 2 history, right? This Liquid rosters do not stick together
3 years
for very long in Dota. It just doesn't happen, right? It's like you go to TI, once you lose TI, you're shaking something up, and even when you win TI, you're shaking something up, you know, a la AUI, right? They won TI and he got kicked from Evil Geniuses. You know, Digital Chaos got second at TI, and they kicked Moonmander for, they kicked Moo for Moonmander, right? It's like these rosters, there's always things to improve. There's also just generally the philosophy that you need to shake things up, that you need fresh ideas, fresh blood. That's like what Kuro kicked Matama Man, right? He's, you know, somebody kind of needed to go, and Matama Man was consistently that player on Nigma that shouldered much of like that weight, you know? So they kick him to shake things up and bring somebody else in. And, well, you know, now Matama Man's going to TI and Kuro's not. But it also means that Kuro got second at TI. At TI9, so who knows whether or not that was the right call.
I cannot believe that I'm gonna have to deal with about 3.5 months of people going, man, how bullshit is it that Enigma isn't at TI? Yeah. There's gonna be like 3 months of this debate, and I think the amount of pressure that is put on, I think that the worst case scenario happened in terms of the tournament format by having Nigma not qualify, because I think that OG has enough haters to where people will be like, fuck, they don't deserve it, like whatever, like there's narratives that kind of cancel each other out. But I don't think there are a lot of people going to bat for, oh yeah, Nigma doesn't deserve to be a TI over other teams. So I think that that's going to
Yeah.
really highly influence whoever is talking about formatting next year, because I don't think that we keep something one for one, because there's just going to be so much not uproar but like indigestion about this, because
Yeah.
I mean, I understand how the format works. I understand what the stakes of the qualifiers for. And I understand that there's a lot of bias going into like, oh, well, Nigma basically won TI and then came in second. And then they kind of, they won, they did really good at Anti Major, right? I'm kind of in the camp that I still feel like they deserve it more than other teams that are going to be at the event. And that feels bad to admit.
Well, yes, there's going to be a lot of people who agree with you. And I will just say, I don't necessarily know if I agree or disagree, but I do know what's going to happen as a more impartial observer.
And a profit.
The moment a profit.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen.
True. There are 3 South American teams going to TI. The moment one of those teams places 17th, 18th, and bombs out of the group stage, if that does happen, which I think it's decently likely, in all honesty, between the 3 of them, that one of them will bomb out, people are going to directly compare, this team should not have gone, Nigma should have gone instead, or Tundra should have gone instead, So that's that is what is going to be the narrative as soon as that happens.
Yeah, it's one of those teams, or like Undying, assuming they don't like have a good performance. They're also in that same camp of teams that people point to and go, "What the fuck?" Right? So they have the most to prove.
The thing is, South America has always been held as the weakest region, and even the people who are moved by like Beast Coast doing well and Thunder Predator doing well at the major, like even those people will still say, okay, but the depth of South American teams, they'll say there may be individually good teams there, but that does not mean it's a very deep region. And they may hold the same for North America, but I think South America is going to be very obviously the region that people will want to hold as this is unfair. And you know what? Here's the thing. There's not I don't feel that bad that eHome didn't make it. China fucking killed it this year, And as a result, they got a bunch of their teams going. So that is why I'm not super, I'm not entirely with you on the whole Enigma thing, because ultimately the other really tough, the supposedly tough, deep region, they managed to get a bunch of their teams going to TI. So, that it is what it is. Competition is competition, and they took advantage of this year and killed it on lands,
To that same note, I really hope Alliance does well.
Why is that? Why specifically them?
I think that they're in a group of teams. I think that Alliance and Beast Coast need to do well to prove that there was value in the system and the way that it worked, because I think those are the two. I guess
Aster
Alliance, Aster, and Beast Coast are the 3 teams who are there based on high performance in DPC seasons, but low to non-existent performance on LAN.
Yes.
And seeing them also potentially
Virtus Pro as well, but I mean to be honest, Virtus Pro is so crazy dominant and good that I feel like they
get a
won't
pass
be a victim
from me.
of that narrative. Yeah, that's for whatever reason people will give them the pass.
Yeah. I think that we need to see those teams show some kind of life. Otherwise, it might be used as a way to point out a problem in the system. And obviously, we're getting so far ahead of ourselves. TI is literally 3 months away because it's in Romania.
In October.
In October.
Yeah. My birthday is going to be going on during TI. Usually I'm at some shit tier post-TI event that nobody cares about, you know?
They're
It's
definitely
like,
gonna
fucking half the teams are like, we're not ready for this. I need another month break, you know? Nobody, like half the good teams don't even show up.
there's gonna be a cap
TI.
birthday content TI piece. That's easy pickings. That's easy pickings.
I don't know. That would. I feel kind of weird about that.
That's very
right.
very self-centered.
All right, you want to go region by region?
Sure.
Okay. North America, Undying. No surprise whatsoever. They literally did not lose a single game. Incredibly dominant performance. They're going to TI.
I really
America,
wish Black and Yellow beat EE the second time. I was hype on that narrative.
Yeah, that was a good narrative. That was one of the best narratives coming out there. Arkosh did okay. Four Zoomers went to the grand finals, but ultimately did not seem to be able to hold a candle to Undying, even though they've done it before. But here at TI Qualifiers, they just didn't seem to have it. South America, No Ping dropped out at 4th, and SG was actually who got 6th last season. It was the other team that I thought about backing, but because they got 6th, it's such a shitty run that I did not back them, and they managed to go through upper brackets. Only lost, I believe, 2 games through their entire run. So pretty dominant by them.
I think OG is the only team that won a qualifier from the lower bracket. Out of the
you may be
6.
correct. Yeah, because OG got knocked down by Tundra. They got 2-0'd by Tundra, even more so. And you know what's funny is like people kept on asking me my opinion about Western Europe, and I said, I predicted Nigma, because they obviously had a pretty decent performance in Animajor, but I felt like they just didn't really bounce back from that. I didn't have the best faith in Liquid, so I'm not terribly surprised it was Tundra OG at the end. But everyone kept asking me like, who's gonna win on that final day, and I said I think it's actually dead even. I think you if I had to put a percentage on which team was going to win, I think OG or Nigma was favored in beating Tundra, but Tundra was already in the grand final. So I think who's going to win on the final day, I think was a 33% across the board. Yep. So that was pretty interesting. Even as OG losing against Tundra before, I think a best of 5 in a grand finals like placement and that sort of thing, you have to give the advantage to the more experienced team, the team who has proven that they have what it takes to be able to win best of 5s on long days. Very, very few teams have ever gone the 8th game in a day and managed to win on a grand finals day. OG took advantage of that against LGD. Famously at TI8, LGD had to make that run and fell short on game 5. And OG proved that they could do it when the shoe was on the other foot. So really well done by them. I personally, story-wise, I think is very hype. I predicted Nigma. Obviously, I was cheering for Liquid, but from a story perspective, it doesn't get better than the back-to-back defending champions being able to defend their throne.
It's the best. It's the best story.
Yeah,
it's the best story. There's the most to talk about. We can get to see Notel put the Aegis back on the pedestal again, right? Like there's I am the most excited. I think that happened. I think that's like probably the best outcome. I think that any of those final 4 teams in Europe I would have been excited for different reasons. And I think that that is probably speaks to why people might still over-index Europe if they are performing a little poorly, because everyone just has so much history and the narrative is good. Liquid going, good narrative. Tundra going, great narrative. OG going, the best narrative. Kuroki going, fuck yeah, right? Like any one of those makes sense. And then even, isn't it wild that Chicken Fighters got like fourth after dropping out?
Up.
They got knocked out of the lower division, and they made a fucking tear through that lower bracket.
Yeah, seriously, it goes to show that teams, they put their head down, and if they figure something out, they work hard to lead up. They figure something out. They can definitely make a very strong run, such as Team Empire did in the Eastern European division. They started off lower bracket and went all the way to the grand finals, having multiple 2-1s. They actually went the full series distance in every single series except their very first one. They 2-0'd win strike, but every single one after that was 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 3-2.
It's a lot of stress.
Oh my god. They also had to go to game 8 on a grand finals day, and they fell a bit short. Fucking brutal. Shout out to them, but ultimately Team Spirit ends up beating Team Empire, who was my favorite, but damn, you gotta give props for Team Empire for a very young squad. Very few of those guys have played a whole lot more than DPC. Vanscore is like the veteran on that list. Pechushar has played around a little bit, but other than that, these guys are mostly pretty new. So, and then we had China, which Elephant was probably the favorites. It was the team that I predicted. Honestly, I fucking called this one a mile away. Chinese qualifier, I personally thought was very boring. The only thing that made it exciting was that Magma made a pretty good run. They were the lower division 4th team, so they weren't upper division in the slightest. And they made a lower bracket run all the way to the final day before they got beat by Elephant, and there was a significant skill difference between the two teams. I think people like China's a good hipster region. It's a region that most of the Western audience doesn't actually have a tie to, so therefore they may not watch or it may not be good hours for them. So everybody likes, oh, the Chinese qualifier is gonna be so hype. Get the fuck out of here! What are you, fucking high? Why the fuck do you think the Chinese qualifiers is going to... All the good teams are already in. What do you mean? They literally took every single fucking good Chinese team, and it's already
right
in
to
TI. It literally just left 2 teams. 2 teams! I look at that roster, and I'm just like, it's Elephant or eHome. Nobody else matters. Literally nobody else matters. I'm like, those are only 2 good teams left. And that's pretty much what happened. Elephant lost to eHome in the upper bracket finals, and they did go through lower bracket. They 2-0'd Magma, and then they 3-1'd eHome ultimately. So I guess that's the other team that went through the lower bracket.
I'm a maybe stand, so like this doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
This does not bother me. Like, I think that I am very content in Elephant making their way to TI. And China just becoming that much stronger, because I think that you can put Elephant up against basically most teams, and they are, hyper competitive against anyone, even though they're the 5th best Chinese team. Like, it's hard to just outright discount their roster, right? Like, I'll take them as favorites almost instantly against most regions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is eHome. Elephant is definitely the best storyline. eHome had... I think the problem is that both Chalice and Xnova, they weren't like the people that you looked to on the old PSG LGD squad. That they weren't like the big names, I guess, on that squad. So people naturally think of as Elephant as the predecessors to PSG LGD. Like they're the ones who, the big names are on Elephant now, and they're the big Chinese powerhouse. And of course, it didn't prove to be true for the Chinese DPC. They sucked. They got fifth both times, but still best for the storyline that they go through because, I mean, such a storied history between maybe an FY to incredible careers from both of those players yet to be able to win a TI. So
my heart bleeds for X Nova a little bit.
Yeah, X Nova seems like a great guy. I've only met him in passing, but he seems like just a fantastic guy. So
he's also
bad for him and Fade as well. Those two, they seem like really nice guys.
Yeah, he's also really, really good. And I know that you can say that about basically anybody who's, making the grand finals of the TI qualifiers, or people who are already like, everybody to be at the event is exponentially better than we can really comprehend at Dota, right? X Nova's really good. I watch him play and I'm like, fuck, man. I can never do that. Sometimes I watch Dota and I go like, oh, if I'm on my shit, I can probably do some of those things. I watch X Nova play and I'm like, I can't compete. I literally can't do the things he's doing.
And then last but not least, or certainly not least, probably the best region to watch was Southeast Asia. Their qualifiers, everybody was talking about how the fact their qualifiers were going to be super hype. And it was. It definitely was. Their grand finals went to a game 5 as well. There were a couple of teams like... So everybody was holding up Motivate Trust because they were winning the small tournaments with some of the lesser Southeast Asian teams. And everybody was holding them as being like, oh, they're the guys who are going to take down TNC. But it actually turned out it would just be the normal narrative that you would expect, which is TNC and Fnatic, the two most established Southeast Asian rosters still left, would match up against each other in both the upper bracket finals and the grand finals. The surprise, which shouldn't really be that big of a surprise to most people, was that Boom made such a long run. They ended up going 2-1 against TNC in the upper bracket semifinals, dropped down and made it all the way to the final day. And again, got 2-0'd by TNC. But I remember when I did my TI qualifier predictions, I was going through the list. And I had TNC as my favorites, and I said Fnatic's most likely to be contesting them. And I remember going over Boom and being like, never count Boom out, Because
you said that on the show.
Those guys are clutch. Those guys, they show up on the important tournaments for sure. I don't know what it is, but probably something about Mikoto and Dreamcell. Great 1-2 combo. So,
is it a bummer that we don't have wild cards at TI? Are wild cards a fun part of the tournament, or are wild cards an unnecessary hangover of years past?
I think they're great for majors. So why not, I guess, for TI? That being said, what would you do? Just get second of every region?
Oh, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I guess that's the easiest thing to potentially do, right? Is to just take second place and put them up there. That'd be cool.
I'm not a big fan. So I would of course be interested in wild cards. Wild cards is always a fun way to start a tournament off. For sure. I always really enjoy it. That being said, I'm not a big fan of the narrative that's going around because so many people are unhappy that neither Nigma and OG both could not go to TI because of what happened. That everyone's clamoring for extra slots and stuff. No, I'm not a fan of that. You cannot change the rules. We've had a fucking year that these rules have been set into place. If you don't qualify, I'm sorry, but we can't just change the rules because we don't like the outcome.
But Kuroki isn't going to the international.
And I am very sad about that. I think I'm actually going to do a write-up about Kuro and him not being able to go to TI-10 because I think he is just such a fascinating player.
What do you
and,
think?
It sucks.
Can you theory craft with me for a second? How do you think Weehaw feels? Do you think there's a moment in his brain where he goes, "Yeah, fuck those guys"?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you would have to really love the players and the team, and you would have to be a pretty good person to not have that thought come into your head. I mean, how do you think Matuma Man feels? I bet he feels vindicated as fuck. He's like, damn, I didn't have to go through those qualifiers. That would suck.
I think he felt vindicated through the entirety of the pandemic.
Maybe, but at the same time, like, TI is the only thing that matters, right? So, this is if TI is the only thing that matters, like Nigma or Secret can have all the success they want, but it doesn't matter if they don't perform at TI. And well, Nigma doesn't even get the chance to perform at TI, whereas Matuma Man and Secret do. So I'm like I feel like there was Matuma Man's a great guy, by the way, so it's possible he didn't actually feel that way and he was sad watching the team go, but I think most people, this would be that final moment of like, all right, it's
like that killer instinct. I think an important facet of Dota players is like having an absurd amount of self-confidence, and like I think that you really have to truly believe in yourself to be someone of their caliber, not just in Dota, not just in esports, but like in competition. I think that's like one of the intangibles that most of those people share that really separates them from the general population. So I'm sure there's a little bit of let's crack open a Corona for that one.
Yeah.
And
that's the end of the qualifiers. So
yeah, so now what?
Now we wait for some third-party tournament organizer to put something together that will fill our time. Maybe it's a fun tournament. Maybe BTS will do bot TI. Maybe Slacks has got some wacky ideas about a tournament they can run. Maybe somebody like ESL or WePlay will actually try a somewhat serious tournament and have fan favorite teams across the board like Nigma and Liquid, and have them come together for some sort of Omega League light tournament. Whatever it is, it's got to happen soon, because I think most big names would be interested in playing a tournament in the next month. But as soon as you get about a month and a half away from TI, I think they're no longer interested and will not play.
I think one of the interesting narratives about people not playing was also the narrative that we kept on hearing captains say from multiple qualifiers, that like scrims weren't really happening and people were struggling to even get games before the qualifiers because people didn't know who they could play or who wanted to play, because teams already qualified didn't really want to play, right? They're taking a relaxy breaky. My pitch for a tournament is you do like the Biggest Loser tournament and you invite no teams who are going to TI, and you only have all of the teams who didn't qualify for TI.
I think one problem with that
is a big pity party.
Getting it, that would be great if you got international teams, right? But most likely, whatever this next event is going to be is probably going to be relative. Like China, very likely will run something for China, and then the West will run something for the West, and yeah.
What do you call it? Like pre-international, like TI but pre-I. You call it thanks Sweden. They should actually just go run the event in Stockholm.
Appetizer, but with TI capitalized.
You know what? That's great. That's a great creative choice. You'd be fucking bonkers in a writer's room. That's great. Appetizer. That's
make it all food themed.
Honestly, the fact that I should delete this from the episode and you should be like, "Yo, Jake, I got it. You got the theme. That's it."
Yeah, that's all you need for a tournament, right? It's just the theme.
Hey man, where do we play?
So I pretty much haven't heard anything from any tournament organizers. Then again, I'm not exactly like out there running the beat or anything, trying to get in contact with people, seeing who's gonna do what, if anybody's doing anything. But I will say that I haven't heard anything yet. And if anybody ever wonders why third party organizers are important, I feel like this entire Corona situation has been it's been a good spotlight on that. I mean, like Valve didn't run shit for fucking like 9 months or a year or something, right? Like there was nothing going on. We only had third parties. We only had ESL1 and we play running big events. We had other third party organizers doing smaller events. Like now when TI doesn't happen when it's supposed to happen, we fall back on third party tournament organizers. Like they play an important part in the space. So yeah, we'll see if anything happens. God, I hope it does, because I'm gonna go a little insane if I needed a break, but like I don't need that long of a break.
It's a long break. It's a long break. You should, like, if I were you, I'd be looking at like Airbnbs out in the desert, or like a trip to go see mom, or like I feel like it's like
Yeah.
There's just such a long period.
That's the thing.
Time.
I was gonna go see my mom at the end of July and make it so that I would fly from her place to TI. That's what I was gonna do. But now I'm on hold. And I told her, like I have to wait until I hear from like third party tournaments, like if anything's gonna happen, because I can't really plan anything out until I hear about that, because it's too long for me just to not work. That would be not great for my financial situation of just not working for 3 months straight. So,
well, I get to go work for 3 months straight continually. I guess that's the joy of full-time employment, right? But I don't get to go make a really cool Dota piece. I was preparing. I had a lot of additional footage from the Annie Major of like things just not going well. Not like people. I don't want to make people like mind wander. Like not people like upset or yelling at each other or anything like salacious, but like just general, sad boy footage, because it was a sad boy event. And we were fully prepared to make like a 1 hour arcing piece between like Annie Major through the qualifiers up through the international. Just that project's on ice. So now I don't have any Dota content to make. I feel like I was doing a good job with that, but now
just think how much content you'll have when they qualify for TI11, though.
That's true. Maybe this whole documentary is just like a year in the making. It's actually like their whole time at Liquid.
Yeah. If they stay together, that's a question for so many of these teams, right? When they don't qualify for TI, and TI is everything, right? Like rosters do not stay the same. That's why, again, Liquid was such an interesting one, because they stayed together post their loss at TI when they got dropped out 12th through 16th in that famous gyrocopter game. Like they stuck together with the same squad after that. Not many teams do that.
I've seen teams come and go that I really like. That feels good. A good example of this is, when Nitro finally left the championship winning back-to-back Liquid Counter-Strike team. It's a good example. I was bummed. This is a throwback, but like when OG No Tail era Fnatic kind of parted ways, I was like, oh man, that feels like a bummer. If something happens with the Liquid roster, which will in theory eventually happen, maybe it's not now, maybe it's not 6 months from now, maybe it's not for 2 years, right? But like in theory, something will happen. It's gonna be a real sad boy moment.
Yeah, I mean, what if it happens to Nigma instead of Liquid, right? Like not just ILTW, but that 4-man roster, splitting ways in some way. That'd be pretty crazy. I mean, that 4-man has been together since they won. So
yeah, those would be the two that would be hard to swallow.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess we just
sometimes change is necessary. So
I think so.
Who knows?
I think so. But it's we're gonna have to find stuff to talk about between now and then because, dude, it's so long.
That's why we're stocking up all those stories, right?
That's why we're
being able to get to so many of them.
We're gonna be able to share one every podcast, and I will be so excited to update you on my new fun living situation. Maybe you can even meet my mom. That'll probably happen.
That sounds fun.
She'll like your hat.
I'd enjoy that. Yeah, it's a good hat. Yeah. Well, now you know. The next time you move, by the way, you can ask me. You can ask me to help.
I will do that. I generally don't like asking people for help. That might be a surprise.
Yeah, nobody likes helping people move. It's terrible.
I don't like asking people for help, period. I think it's a character flaw.
That's true.
I think it's a flaw that I'm not very like a therapist to be like, you should just ask for more help, Joe, and I'll be like, no, I can do everything myself. I'm the best human ever.
Yes, remember one of our early stories was your plumbing issue?
Yeah. I should have got help. I'm gonna help myself to see, I'm not even getting help. I'm gonna help myself to getting this podcast put together so that it can go up on the internet so that people can be like, fuck yeah. And then tomorrow I'm going to I don't know what. I'm gonna do a bunch of cleaning. I'll send you pictures. I will post pictures on Twitter. That's Leaf Eater with a 0 or an O. I said my own handle wrong. I am spiraling out of control. I need to end this.